Total providence.
There's only one thing we can do to thwart the plot of these albino shape-shifting lizard bitches. We are going to take...
Because you can't cease to be a slave until you realize you are one and what the game is. So that's vital information.
And you have the right to remain silent until when you, and anything you say can and will be used to...
Fuck this shit!
David Icke, after a very successful tour, which thousands and thousands came out to see in California, we welcome you to the airwaves.
Thank you, Alex.
Sir, you've got the floor. Let's break down the shift, what's happening, the positive, and then get into your analysis on the banking global takeover. Then we'll get into the nature of reality itself.
In the bath a few months ago, and I had this vision in my mind, and it went like this. First of all, there was swirling energy, and I knew immediately that was symbolic of consciousness. Then an eye appeared in the energy, and in front of the eye appeared a telescope, and on the end of the telescope was the Earth and this universe. And then, this is the crucial point, the telescope morphed into a human body. And what the human body is, it's like, it is a biological computer, but what it does...
Narrowly focused consciousness.
It locks us into a certain frequency range of reality, which people think when they look out of their eyes that they're seeing everything that exists in the space they're looking at. They are not. They are looking at a tiny, tiny frequency range. Of the mass and matter that mainstream science says exists in this universe, and there's a lot more than they've discovered yet, and sharing the same space as this, if you like, television station, which we call physical reality, are endless other realities, just like in the space that I'm sitting here now. All the radio and television stations broadcasting to California are in the space that I'm occupying. They're not interfering with each other, they're not aware of each other unless they're really close on the dial, but they're sharing the same space. And we are experiencing a frequency range which we decode into this reality. And the physical body, the body computer, locks us into that frequency range. So when we leave the body, and these near-death experiences experience this, we leave that limitation, that focus, that television station, and suddenly we expand to the full magnitude of who we are. What the conspiracy is about, because at the core, the shadow people understand this, is hypnotizing us from cradle to grave to believe that we are the vehicle which is focusing our consciousness to experience this reality. We are as limited as that vehicle perceives the world.
I mean, definitely this is a bodysuit. This is a spacesuit for our soul.
Exactly.
And if people get too deep into this, and then that's all they do, they just sit in a pile of crap on the side of the street in New Delhi, instead of understanding there's a balance between that and then the real manifestation, and then putting it into action in this spectrum. Very important reality. We're here for a reason.
Everything in the end comes down to a vibrational state. The lower it is, the more limited you are, the more narrow-minded, I would say narrow-banded you are. The more you expand your consciousness, the more the energy vibrates. The thing is that we are experiencing a band of frequencies. Now, our consciousness is vibrating too quickly to interact with it. If my consciousness tries to interact with this book on this table in front of me, I couldn't pick it up, just as radio A couldn't interact with radio 2, because they share the same space, but they're not close enough on the dial to interact with each other. So consciousness takes on an outer shell that is vibrating within the frequency range it wants to interact with. We call it the human body. Therefore, because I have that, I can pick that book up because they're operating in the same frequency range, they can interact. The whole basis of this conspiracy, Alex, is to manipulate us to identify who we are with the physical vehicle we are using to experience this reality.
That's where you're wrong.
This reality that we are experiencing as solid walls and this apparently solid world, it's an illusion. The only thing that exists is in our heads, and it is what I call the holographic internet. I'm in this room now, and if I look around, the wireless internet is in this room, but I can't see it. But if I get a computer and I tune it into the wireless internet, suddenly I have a complete worldwide collective reality called the World Wide Web, which can be accessed anywhere in China, though firewalled off to a large extent, Australia, South America, London, anywhere in the world. People can tap in through that computer into the same collective reality. What they make of it is their unique spin, but it's the same reality. And if you said to people, tell me about the internet, they'd say, well, it's graphics and websites and colors on a screen. Yes, it is, but the only place the internet exists in that form is on the screen, nowhere else. Everywhere else it's electronic circuits, etc. You say to people, tell me about television. They say, well, these programs are moving pictures on the screen. Yes, it is. But the only place that television exists in that form is on the screen. Everywhere else, it is electronic circuits and frequency fields, which the television decodes into those pictures. What we do through this physical vehicle, what we call physical anyway, is we're decoding a reality on exactly the same principle, though fantastically more sophisticated, as the wireless internet. And this is where we get our collective reality from. Now, this is vital to the conspiracy. I was in a half kind of wake state, waking up the other day, and going around my head was this statement: love is not what you are in, I'm in love with you. Love is what you are. And at that level of love, the true definition of love, not attraction, but love for all, love for self, it has no fear. It only does not what it believes to be right, it does what it knows to be right. And it chooses freedom, and freedom and love do not do consequences. There's no mental gymnastics, oh, I want freedom, but what are the consequences for me of going down there? Freedom doesn't do consequences, love doesn't do consequences, it does what it believes to be right. And I tell you what, when you get to this level of consciousness, Alex, something that would change this world overnight because of all that would come from it, if people started making decisions not based on what is right for me in the circumstances before me, and that turns out often not to be right for you anyway, but what is right, end of story, in the circumstances that I face. What is right, what is just, what is fair, what do I need to do to pursue that version of what is right? And if we did that, there'd be no hunger, there'd be no conflict, there'd be no child abuse, there'd be no environmental abuse, there'd be none of this stuff. We'd be in a completely different level of consciousness, and therefore we'd be in a completely different level of experiences of this world. As Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. Once you look in the mirror and you identify what you are looking at with the vehicle that's allowing you to experience this frequency range we call the world, and you move your sense of identity to I am all that is, has been, and ever will be. Not that time exists outside of this reality and program. Once you move your sense of identity out to that level of self, everything changes. I mean, you know, fearful of what some government's going to do, of taking action. We have to move into an expanded level of awareness of who we are, the nature of reality, the illusory nature of reality that we live in, and then we can have a paradise here, because illusions only control you when you think they're real. And what we're seeing now is something I talked about a long time ago. When something is covertly manipulated along a road to change society, there comes a point where it has to break the surface, where it can be seen, because that which it wants to change starts to happen in front of people's eyes. They're finding it more and more difficult to look the other way and say, no, let's change the subject. And all this together, and there's a consciousness awakening as well, very clearly. People are waking up and expanding their consciousness on a scale never before in a time that I've known anyway. And now we need to go to the next stage now. People are coming out and listening to this information in vast numbers. They're listening to programs like yours in vast numbers. What we need to do now is start to get together, drop the fault lines between left and right and center and progressives and all this other stuff and religion, all the rest of it, and come together and cross the street and start engaging with this system. And by engaging, ironically, I'm disengaging with it, ceasing to allow the enslavers, ceasing to cooperate with our own enslavement, because as I talked about last time I was on the show, there are 6 billion people plus now being manipulated. There is at the core a relative handful doing the manipulating. I see a way out. But we have to come together, and it's starting. And I'm extremely optimistic.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Because you can't cease to be a slave until you realize you are one and what the game is. So that's vital information.
This is awe-inspiring stuff.